Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Tatami Talk. My name is Juan. This is my true partner, Anthony. This is another judo podcast for judo players by two judo players. So, Anthony, how you feeling today?
Well, I just told you how I was feeling. I was actually feeling great, and I've been ramping up my training because my PT, my physical therapist, was telling me how my knees like coming along really well. I should try and load it up more. So I've been training more, but then I get sore more, but then I recover pretty faster too. So that was the thing. And I just got the okay to reduce my therapy sessions from every week to like every 2 to 3 weeks. Oh, so, okay. Yeah. So I've been spending so much time in physical therapy. It's insane.
But you're still not doing full Seiza though. You're still sticking your little leg out. Yeah.
The Seiza thing is I have to warm up a lot to be able to sit in proper Seiza. And I'm just not, because all the driving, what you're seeing when you see me trying Seiza is after me sitting an hour in traffic to drive to the dojo. So doing a lot of sitting is bad for my knee. It actually tightens it up, and I have to like stretch for half an hour before it'll loosen up to the point where I can sit in Seiza. Okay. Yeah. So that's going to come with time. It's just, I got to keep doing my stuff. Anyway, but then I went to BJJ on Friday, and then someone did a lockdown on me. I think I told you. Yeah. And then he basically, because it was stiff, he forcefully straightened my knee, and I felt the pop. And it didn't hurt, but I was like, oh crap, that feels funny. And then I tapped, and then it felt fine. I actually felt like it loosened up. It felt good. But then I knew for a fact it was going to hurt later, like just from experience. Right. So next day, like it wasn't my knee, it was my inner thigh, my hamstring, like that hurt like crazy. So, and then the following day it went up all the way to my back, and it was actually hurting to walk. Then obviously you talked,
How far up your back was it going?
It went to my lower back, but then yesterday it went up to my upper back.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's funny. That's one of the weird things that I learned from my physical therapist is that, at first I thought it was my knee that was the issue. And he was like, your knee is fine. Your surgeon did a great job. It's just, he said, because I wasn't rehabbing properly the first time with my first physical therapist, my trunk isn't activated properly. Basically, I lost the usage of my core. And I've been walking kind of weird for like a year, basically. So that kind of like, it's like a chain from your trunk, like your abs, your core, all the way down to your hips, to your knees, and then all the way down to my toes. I actually get cramps in my toes sometimes. Okay. So I think when he forcefully straightened my knee, it pulled on the muscle all the way up to my back, like as like a chain. So, all right. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't know why. It's just, so what I'm trying to get is people always say like, oh, I get so many injuries at judo, like BJJ. We were talking about this yesterday with one of our students, and I'm like, yeah, I get all my injuries from BJJ, like including my knee injury was from a BJJ guy. The worst injury I got from judo is like concussions and getting poked in the eye. Like,
only concussions, Oh yeah.
Yeah. So all my injuries I get from BJJ. And I think part of it has to do with that people have this illusion that, it's on the ground, so we can go harder, safer. Yeah,
it's safer.
And then, it's safer to go harder. And that's when you get people twisting their knees in weird ways for passing guards. They do like crazy inverted stuff. They elbow people in the face. Like I got elbowed in my face. I actually have a cut here that kind of healed now from last week.
You got that
cross-facing, cross-facing, cranking your neck, like all that stuff. Like I get so like the bad kind of sore from BJJ a lot more than judo kind of sore. The judo sore is like a workout muscle soreness, but then BJJ, it feels like I'm actually hurt, like, yeah. So,
well, I know you're mad. You're going to tell people how I talked you into or bullied you into doing some rondor yesterday with the guise of saying, let's go light. The whole joke. It's like our dojo also, go light. If someone ever tells you a dojo, you come to Hollywood and they say, let's go light, they want to go light. All right.
Yeah. People who go light don't need to say that they're going to go light. You just know it. Yeah.
Yeah, they'd be like, okay, let's just move around a little bit. No. But if someone comes like, hey, let's go light. Let's just do some light. And there goes light. It's that funny meme. It's this funny meme of Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair staying together and stuff, being like, oh, go light today, light roll, or let's one drink tonight. And then the next picture underneath it is them bloodied and sweaty and messed up.
It's funny because the person that we said who always says go light, he had a rib injury. Like from a month ago, right? And he bruised the rib, dislocated it from turning out of the throw. And he's the one who always like tries and shame me into doing randori when I'm not feeling up to it. I'm like, my knee just doesn't feel good. And he was like, come on, just move around. And the one time I listened to him, there's that one time I got that concussion, it was from him. And then the other time he was like, oh, you hurt your right knee, right? And then like 5 minutes later, he did a really hard foot sweep on my right knee. And he was like, oh, right. That's your bad knee. I forgot. I'm like,
yeah, you forgot.
So it's funny that I managed to avoid him yesterday and mostly just went with other people. But then I heard him say, let's go light. And he freaking suplexed some like Eric, right?
Yeah. One of our taller guys.
I just heard a slam.
Yeah. I looked over and I was like, oh no. But it's the joke at our dojo because we have another bigger guy who's I don't want to say his name and stuff, but another bigger guy that always says, let's go light. But he's this big gorilla of a man. And he always says, let's go light. But then he'll like just try to drill you in the floor, try to pick you up or.
He's like 0 or 100. There's like no in between.
Yeah. So. There's no in between there. So it's a joke at our club. If you ever come, people will go light. They say go light, but it's kind of an inside joke also. Yeah. It's like, oh, they say, let's go light. That's just the bait and switch right there. Well, get you in.
I think we shouldn't talk too much about it because we talked about maybe doing the next episode on it about going light. But
about really actually going light.
But there's like all these stereotypes about people going light. There's the people who like aren't actually going light. And then there's the people who are like when they say go light, it means you go light on them, but they don't want to go light on you. Like there's like, we'll just talk about it next episode. So
we're making another episode about that one. All right. Okay. Yeah. So
and maybe we'll do some short videos on it.
Short videos about going light.
Yeah. How to go light. What's the stereotypes that we're talking about? We can make like examples out of it. So,
all right. So that's kind of like some news about Anthony mostly and a little bit of me. But so some other local news for us is happening is that, so in the last episode, we talked about how in California, we had our first official big tournament here in Southern California in Westminster. And I guess because that tournament we talked about did really, really well. We had 600 people show up there. There's people from Mexico that came over. There's people I saw all the way from Arizona that were coming over. People from Nevada were coming over. So that not opened the floodgates, I'm going to say, but it got other dojos thinking like, oh, well, if that tournament went well, they ran decently, maybe I'll have ours. So here in California,
it's all about the money, but
for him, it's all because Anthony was doing the math, like 600 people at $40 a piece comes out to
it's like $20,000-$30,000. Yeah. So.
Whew, man, that's a lot of money. We should have a Tatami Talk tournament. But because that happened really well, so in California, one of my favorite tournaments to actually go to in California is the California State Golden State Open. And it's held by Guerrero Judo, and it's a USA Judo tournament, sanctioned tournament. And they're actually going to have it again. And that's going to be here in California in West Covina, May 14th and 15th.
West Covina? Now, Westminster?
No, West Covina.
Oh, West Covina. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Well, usually they have they used to have it at Fairplex in Pomona at the convention, at the fairgrounds out there. Yeah. But they moved it to a high school a few years ago. They moved it to this new high school in West Covina. So
I could just stay. That's where my parents live. I'll just like stay there overnight.
You can't go because you have to come to, that's another thing.
Right.
You have to talk about that day. If like, it's one of my favorite tournaments to go to. I really want to go compete, but we have some scheduling conflicts now and things happening the next day and stuff. So, but it's a really good tournament to go to. I recommend going to. It's one of my favorite ones to go to. And they announced that. So a long time ago, it used to be a full point tournament. You get adult points, junior points, cadets, all the categories gave points for you for the nationals. Then they took out the adult points division, and it was just for the kids, for the cadets and what's the other one? Or I know that it was the kids, the adults were getting points.
Yeah.
Well, they announced through a meme of all memes. It was Will Smith. it was
oh my gosh,
Chris Rock Will Smith meme. That's the first time I saw it. I looked into it. That now the adults are going to get points too. So if you're in the West Coast area and you're looking to get points because probably not a lot of tournaments happening and they're going to have one, you can actually get points for the adults now. So it's a good opportunity if you live in an area to get some national points to try to get to the team and stuff. If that's your goal, or even if you just go and get points, you get ranked for it, which is kind of a cool thing. You compete one time a year and you're like ranked top 50 in the country or something, or top 25, who knows?
See, to me, after that last tournament we talked about, which is historically a small tournament, in the past has been a small tournament. It's 600 people. Now you're telling me the second tournament in the area is going to be worth points.
Yeah.
And I was there for the 13 hours last time. I don't know about this time, unless they do, unless they do not allow walk-up registrations. I'm probably not interested in general in coaching or going in general.
Yeah. Well, the way that they usually do it, I haven't fully looked into it, but it's usually day before weigh-ins, and the adults are going to be on Saturday. So it's going to be all the adults, the 20s to old men and stuff, all on Saturday. And then Sunday is going to be all the kids, all the youths up to teenagers. So for the adults, you have to weigh in on Friday. For the youths, you have to weigh in on Saturday, come on Saturday and weigh in. But at least it's a 2-day tournament. So they're most likely going to be doing, at least, well, most likely what they've done is that they'll do the adults first when it's a 2-day tournament, because they did before cut it down to a 1-day tournament, and that sucked. That was like a huge long day. Yeah. But if it's the 1-day tournament, I mean, if it's a 2-day tournament, they'll do adult black belts first, then they'll do like 30s maybe. Then they'll start going into like the novice and stuff like that, the old men later in the day. But they'll get, if you're black belts in the seinen division, they'll be first up most likely. That'd be crazy to do like the old men first. I'm up there.
They should. I mean, logically, they should do the smaller brackets first. Like this is, if you do the pre-registration, then don't allow walk-ups, and you can see what the brackets look like, and you just do the small brackets first and then get it out of the way. People can leave. Like you won't have such a crowded space, and all the people crowding around the mat and stuff. It's just like stupid. So
that's pretty cool. That's happening here in California in May. Then in July, I think it was July. I can't remember if it was, I want to say 7th or 17th, one of those 2 days, but it's happening in July. We're going to have another big tournament here in California. It's the California State Games, and that's going to be in San Diego. And that one used to be, back in the day, used to be a really cool tournament because it was this big thing. And it's all these like Olympic sports, because they would have like Taekwondo and Judo, and you see wrestling. They used to do it all in the same place, and they decided to separate it out. So now it's not as cool as it used to be. And they have it all happen in the same place. Now it's just like, okay, judo's at this college right next to the border. Like, were you there that year that they had literally the college was like 20 feet from the border almost? It was like really close.
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So usually it's San Diego. I haven't looked up where it's going to be in San Diego, but it's going to be down south, San Diego area. I'm not sure if that one's doing points. All I do is look up that as the date's going to be happening. So we had one tournament in Southern California do really well, and now we're going to have 2 more coming up. And because these 2 are happening, I'm pretty sure we're going to probably do winter nationals this year. I don't see, if these 2 run really well, and these are 2 good sized tournaments, I expect winter nationals to happen, which I do plan to compete there. I want to compete at Golden State, but we have a lot of stuff happening that weekend. But winter nationals, that's my goal.
Okay.
How about you? You want to go play?
I mean, I want, if before winter nationals, I would like to do some sort of smaller tournament first. And it depends on, every time I feel like I'm better, I get hurt again. So
this one pops your knee.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll see how I feel. I mean, if I feel good enough, maybe I'll like not go too hard at a tournament, like I know when people are, how do you not go hard at a tournament, but
I not go, oh shit, he's going hard. All right, I'm down.
Yeah. I won't like turn out the throws or something, like do anything dumb, for example. So I'll see how I feel.
Yeah. And this is something for California, United States and stuff. Let us know how tournaments are going in your countries, how things are happening in Canada and Europe right now. And Asia's having tournaments no matter what, it seems like, because we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, so that's the thing about the United States and California reopening. Here in the US, I know during the pandemic, Texas was still running tournaments. Florida was still running tournaments.
What pandemic?
Yeah. In the United States, they were the 2 states that were like, we'll still have them. Who cares? Come on, let's go. Super spreader event. Screw that. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. So that's some little local news. Now let's go to some international news. So as we speak right now, the Turkish Grand Slam is happening. In what city is it happening in, Anthony?
Antalya?
Yes, Antalya. So right now it's a 3-day tournament. It's been a lot of interesting things happening at this tournament. Anthony's kept up with it a little bit more than I have. I've just been watching highlights because I'm terrible right now. I'm just bad. I've been busy. But to me, I'm going to tell the truth right now. I really didn't expect a lot from this tournament. I saw that a few world champions were going to it. So I kind of expected, they'll probably win. And a lot of them did win. But Anthony has a little bit more insight because they've been watching them and wants to tell us some things.
No, I mean, I talked to Sensei Philippe too about it. And we're like, what do you think? And he was like, I'm not very impressed. And sadly, I want to say the same. Like, there were a few good matches, which I'm going to talk about later. But overall, it was kind of like normal. A lot of golden scores, a lot of Shido still, like, the same old story. Like, nothing much has changed even with the new rules. And I still blame it on remember, like, the inconsistent calling of certain things. Yeah. There's that. Refs, and then certain refs. So, and then drop seonage, like dropping your knees.
Someone there doing a lot of drop seonage.
Yeah. So you're just dropping it. All that is contributing to these like long, boring, drawn out matches. And the gripping rules, they did speed things up a little bit, but I don't know. Like, it made it a lot more like a scramble than I think than the high action, more throw attempts that they were trying to aim for. So we'll see. It's still kind of too early. I think it's like with all those tournaments canceled, it's like the second canceled the second or the third one. So we'll see. What was also interesting before I get into the matches is the All Japan was happening at the same time. Right. Same weekend, which is why you don't see a lot of the Japanese athletes there. Yeah. But it was really interesting comparing the kind of Shido calls you see from the Japanese refs compared to the international IJF refs at the Antalya Grand Prix. It's just main thing for me is the head dives. They're really inconsistent with the head dives call. So I have an example here. So day one, if you haven't watched, you remember the Taiwanese guy, Yang Wei?
Yeah, he did really well.
One silver.
Took gold.
He took gold. Yeah,
he took gold this tournament.
Okay, so you should watch I haven't finished watching day 3 yet because day 3 happened last night and I fell asleep watching it because I was staying up because of pain.
If you haven't noticed, you didn't follow Anthony's Instagram. He actually installed a TV in his bedroom so he can watch it while laying in bed. The lazy mother.
Well, it's because I was hurting, so I had nothing, but I couldn't fall asleep because everything was hurting so much. So I was just watching in bed. And if you haven't watched it, watch that one match I would watch is this one, even though I haven't finished watching day 3 yet. But he was fighting Lukmi Shikivimiani. He's the 2019 world champion. The guy starts off like really aggressive, and he borderline punched the guy. It was like punching him in the face. Like, he was going for the overhand grip and went like it
was like, oh, my bad, accidentally.
He was basically punching him, right? And then Yang Wei was like looking at the ref like, are you not going to call anything? And he didn't call anything. He was like, technically that's not a punch. It just grazed you. So he did it a few times and was roughing him up.
It's like when people try to go over the grip and stuff, try to go over and they actually ridge hand you in the face. They're like, oh, my bad. Just giving you the side.
There's like accidents and then there's like intentional. Like accidents, this was clearly intentional because it was happening so many times. So eventually, but then Yang Wei threw him for a Wazari. He threw him for Wazari, and they called it Ippon at first. But he knowing that it might not be scored as an Ippon, he went straight into an arm bar in Jujikatami. And the guy lifted him up, and he just like cranked it, and just you can see the arm bending the other way.
Yeah.
And then he called mate because he lifted him off the arm. The guy was like on the floor, like, oh, my arm. But I couldn't tell if he was faking it because he was like kind of like, why God? Why? Like, he was doing something. He wasn't grabbing the arm the whole time. He was like,
he became a soccer player.
It kind of looked like a soccer dive, basically, right?
Yeah.
And then they changed the score to Wazari instead of Ippon, and they kept going. And he just like threw him again. Like it was just amazing watching him stay calm, and basically the aggressiveness didn't pay off. And
that's good.
Yeah, it was just like he just destroyed. I'll outright say it. He destroyed him. Like,
and his
it
arm
was really fun, and his arm, but potentially his arm. But another fight that I would look for is a bronze medal match in the 66 kilogram. You remember Yondun Perele, the Mongolian guy that we say is really tall and lanky, and how we see people having trouble fighting him.
He's a dog fighter.
Yeah. So okay, I won't ruin it, but I won't ruin who won. But he fought a guy.
Our podcast is going to come out a week later. I think they can ruin it by now. Okay.
Well, it's not important who wins in the end. I just suggest people watching it because he fights a guy who's equally as lanky as him in that match. His name is Nurlayev, and I think it was Uzbekistani. But yeah, watch that fight. Interesting to see how his height wasn't as much of an advantage anymore because it was someone as lanky as him.
Someone just as tall as him.
Yes. And then the last thing I have for day one is the last two things. Krista Deguchi did not get to fight Klimkate, which I was kind of disappointed. I want to see them go head to head again, especially since we never got that head to head match that Canada promised initially, because they probably, this meet my bias, but they probably know Deguchi would probably beat Klimkate.
Yeah, it's like we can't send our like Klimkate is the world champion here. We're not going to send her. Like we can't do the Japanese thing.
Yeah, so Deguchi, she looked really tired the whole day. Like that's just something seemed off. I don't know if it was like the traveling, because I was looking at her. I follow her Instagram, and she like flew the day before the tournament happened there. And I don't know if it's like jet lag or the weight cut or whatever. She just looked really slow and lacking power and drained when she was fighting. But anyway, that was in a preliminary. She lost to Cizik from France.
Okay. And so Cizik went all the way to finals, didn't she?
Yeah. So she fought Cizik. Yeah. I'll might as well say it. Klimkate like dropped Morte Seoinage, Seo Itoshi, whatever. Cizik in like 10, 15 seconds.
Now you're whatever. Now you're whatever. But if I at the dojo,
because people wouldn't know what I'm saying about when I say Seo Itoshi. But anyway, she did her drop throw through Cizik for at first called the Wazari, but they changed it to Ippon. It was kind of beautiful, actually. It's better than her usual drop spamming, hoping for Shido kind of.
Well, she wasn't because I watched that match. She wasn't all the way on the floor and she dropped for it. She was pretty much like on her side. It was a cleaner throw, in my opinion.
It was like side back, but it was like a bam. It was like actual hard impact. It wasn't like her usual drag someone to the floor rolling. Yeah, so I give her. I don't like her judo, but I gave her credit for this throw because it actually looked good.
She's gonna come get us one day. You know that she's gonna come to the dojo and come after us.
It's okay. I don't know.
I know what she's gonna do. She's gonna drop Seoinage on me.
So that's Klimkate. She won gold, right? But Deguchi, a bronze match. She was fighting an Israeli girl. I forgot her name, but she got dicked over. It was two Shidos each. So the third Shido would get Hansokumake. The Israeli girl grabbed her by the back collar behind the neck and started just like pushing her down, cranking her down, but also in like this like wave, like waving out your towel kind of movement. And Deguchi tried to get up, and because her arm was like this when she was doing it, like for people who don't have video here listening, she was basically waving around everywhere. So when Deguchi stood up, she stood up on the wrong side of the arm, and they called her duck under Shido. Yeah. Hansokumake. That was like a terrible call. Like it's like if anything, the Shido should be on the other girl because she was doing it for like 10 seconds. And the only attack she did was a little foot tap, which doesn't constitute as an attack. Yeah. When you do that and you're pushing down your opponent, you should get a Shido for it. Right. But no, she gave the Shido, the refs gave the Shido to someone who was supposed to try and stand up, but her head just ended up, it's not even like a duck. It just like, she just went like this. Right. But I think she got screwed over, but even commentators were like, oh yeah, I don't agree with that call. But it's on her because she got 2 Shidos before. So that wasn't the Shido. Yeah, I'm like, so did the other girl. The other girl got 2 Shidos too. And she could have, that movement she did, she deserved a Shido for that. So I disagree with the commentators, but we don't know the commentators have to keep a good
biased
relationship with the refs and the IJF. So I honestly think she got screwed over there. I don't agree with that call. But
it is funny when you hear the commentators be like, I don't agree with that. But, they'll say sometimes like what they feel, but then they'll try to walk it back with, they should have done this earlier. They should have done that earlier. They shouldn't have allowed that. That shouldn't happen in the first place.
Like if Krista Taguchi had 2 Shidos and the other girl had like 1 or 0 Shidos, I could see that. I could see them saying like, well, she shouldn't have got 2 Shidos in the first place. But this is like a 2 Shido versus 2 Shido plus the action of the Israeli girl doing that thing. I think she should have gotten a Shido, not Krista. So.
We need that yellow card in judo. We need that coach's yellow card.
It's not, they're just going to not, like I told you, they're not just going to be like, we didn't see anything wrong with it. Like,
I re-reviewed it. No, it's still great. It's still good. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So that's day 1. Day 2, the old matches were like, I don't really, there was a nice Haragoshi by Pup from Hungary. If you want to watch, it's probably going to be in the highlight clip anyway. But one thing to note is this is going back to the head dive call I talked about. Great Britain, by the way, had a great showing. They've got a lot of medals that day. And in particular, this girl who got gold, Renshaw. I don't think she got gold, actually. I take that back. But anyway, Renshaw from Great Britain versus Ozbas from Hungary. She did a Ogoshi, I think it was Ogoshi. And her, yes, I think she did get gold because she did not get called a Hansokumake. We were talking about the Shohei Ono style head dive where you turn your head and then like the side of your head lands on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this one is a textbook example of a quote unquote head dive that is legal because I don't know how she turned her head so far to the side that her shoulder actually landed first a second before her head on the side. So if you watch this match, and I watched in slow motion so many times, I'm like, okay, I can see how that's not a head dive because it literally formed like a flat surface. So that was a textbook example of not head dive. Okay. And there were some other calls where it was like Shohei Ono style head dive and they didn't call it. So
they landed on the top of their head first or on the side of their head?
There was a lot of head dives, actually. There's a lot of people landing head first. They call Hansokumake, and some Shohei Ono style didn't get called. Some did. And then now that we're going to talk about All Japan, I was watching it. And
hold on. So is there anything? So day 3 you didn't want to talk about because that
was the only thing. Yeah, day 3 I'm not going to talk about because I haven't watched it yet.
All right. So before we move on to All Japan, I just want to get this out there right now. So this tournament will be the last tournament, So right now we're having this tournament right now. Right after this tournament was supposed to be the Russian Grand Slam that was supposed to take place on May 20th? Yeah, May 20th and 22nd. May 20th and 22nd through then was supposed to be the Russian tournament. But because of what's happening over there with the Ukraine and Russia, that tournament got canceled. So we're not going to have that tournament in May. The other tournament that was supposed to be happening in June was supposed to be Dusseldorf. And that was supposed to be June 4th and 6th. Was supposed to be 4th through 6th. So there's 2 tournaments right there that were supposed to happen, that Russia was supposed to happen. Dusseldorf got taken out a little while ago. We talked about that before that. They got taken out because of their own personal reasons. They didn't decide not to have it. So there's 2 tournaments that were supposed to happen that now got moved. Okay. The tournament that was supposed to be happening before the one in Turkey was supposed to be the Georgian tournament that got moved because of the Russian-Ukraine incident also. So we're having a lot of tournaments being lost and things getting moved, things getting around right now. So the next time these players will have to compete at a major tournament, or at least a somewhat major tournament, will be the Mongolian tournament, which would be at the middle of June, which is June 24th and 26th, will be the Mongolian tournament. Do you think that because the Russian tournament got kicked out, because Dusseldorf isn't happening anymore, because the Georgian tournament is supposed to get rescheduled, who knows if they're going to reschedule it or if they're going to reschedule it. Do you think we're going to see a lot more players going to tournaments now because we've had 3 tournaments lost in 1 year and we have less time because the Olympics is only a year and a half away now, almost 2 years
realistically
away?
What I think is going to happen, which they're not going to do it anytime soon, probably last minute. They're going to change the amount of points you get from these tournaments, the remaining ones, or they're going to reduce the points required, reduce the points required to qualify for Olympics or World Championship, or Masters. Yeah, they're just going to change the requirements. That's what I think realistically is going to happen. Because when you change that, it's going to be fair for everyone. But when you squeeze certain tournaments or make certain tournaments worth more points while others aren't, then it's not fair for people who didn't decide to go to that tournament for whatever reason, right? So
you can't get a sponsorship to go or something. You just can't afford it,
Yeah.
Not everyone has money to go travel around the world and do judo. I wish I did, but I don't. So that's going to be interesting. So we're going to lose 2 tournaments right now in a row. It's going to be a little bit longer break than what they expected to happen because most people knew Dusseldorf wasn't happening. So maybe they're like, okay, I'll go to Russia instead. Russia-Ukraine situation happens. Okay, so Russia gets punished. We're going to take that tournament away. We lose the Georgian tournament because it's so close to Russia. Where people don't want to go there right now, just not because of this situation. So we're losing 3 tournaments right there. So it's very interesting. Now, with that news out the way, the international judo news for the most part out the way, now let's get to the 2022 All Japan Judo Championships, which I thought was going to be held in May or something. I didn't know it was going to be held so
This is the one by weight category. So there's the All Japan Judo Championships, which is
the open weight one.
It's basically the traditional one when there's no weight divisions, and then there's the championships by a weight category, which is the one I'm watching. And as I was saying, they didn't call any of those head dives that we called. It's clear that they didn't call a head. Another thing I noticed.
So again, to know that's happening. It's happening right now as we speak. So by the time this podcast comes out, if you want to look it up and watch it, you can. Another interesting thing, just before we get the head down stuff, to talk about this little interesting thing, is that when you compete in Japan, the All Japan Open and stuff, there's things. The only tournament that they usually do blue and white gis is the IGF tournaments because they're IGF for international rules.
That's what I was going to bring up. Yeah.
Were you going to say, okay, I was hoping you were going to go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think that's big news right there. So according to Anthony and stuff, this is the first time they're actually doing blue and white gis.
I don't think it's the first time. Because I've seen it. The whole controversy. So this is the only tournament in Japan that's not an IJF, like the Japanese tournament, that uses a blue and white gi. Every other one is still a white gi. And the only reason they swapped to the blue and white gi, I think it was 2017 or 2018. There was that controversy with the call, with the score. It was I don't blame the ref. It was kind of a messed up situation. And what ended up happening was they gave gold to both first and second place people because they gave gold for first and second place people, double gold, because it was such a messed up situation. And then they did a whole investigation and said, oh, we should have done this better. And from now on, for this tournament, we're going to use blue and white gis, but just for this tournament.
Okay. Just for this one.
Just for the weight All Japan by weight category, not the regular All Japan, not the Japan high, like all the other ones. It's like,
well, because this one right here, this one right here, the All Japan weight category one, this is how they pick the A team, the B team, the C squad. This is how they pick who's going to go to the Olympics for the most part. If you win this tournament, if you win this tournament, it's 90%, I would say, that you're on the A team and you're going to the Olympics. It's most likely you have the points also. So if you win this tournament, you're going to the Olympics. You're going to the national level.
I wouldn't say it's very likely. I think it just makes it look good for you to be your standing in the national team. Because we all know just because you can beat everyone in your country doesn't mean you can beat people from other countries because it's different styles and stuff, right? Yeah. And also you're going to be fighting the same people all the time in your country or your school, your team, whatever. And I'm not too well versed in the politics and Japan for judo. So I don't, maybe someone from like Judo Inside or judofan.com, they are actually probably more familiar with that. So maybe if they listen, I know one of them listens to a couple of our episodes. Maybe they can chime in on that.
Hey, how you doing? So if you have a question of how do they decide who's who and stuff, they do the old school thing where they put a red belt around it or a red sash around your black belt. And that's how they tell. So you have just two people. This is going to sound super bad right now, where you have two Asian guys or two Asian ladies going against each other, wearing all white and black belts, but one has a little red sash on them, and you're fighting. So you can imagine if there's like a big turn in the air or a good reversal, and you're like, it was Azadi, it was Ippon, but I'm not sure who got it once they rolled and finished. You're like, camera, please get the camera out.
So the problem, without going too deep into what the controversial thing that happened in the past, it was basically someone had osaikomi after a throw and they gave the ozari to the wrong person, plus the osaikomi, and they stood him up from the osaikomi, but he would have won if he kept that osaikomi, basically, but they stood him up. So they're like, what do we do now? Like, and then let's reset it. Oh wait, we shouldn't reset it. And then, okay, start from scratch. Like it was a fucked up situation, but
it's a terrible thing because that will happen sometimes. Not similar. I'm not going to compare now, but local tournaments where, because the local refs, they're reffing teens, juniors, adults, black belts, white belts, they're reffing all these people at the same time. And you'll have two adults go up, like two black belt adults go up, and I'm wearing my blue gi, the other person white gi. I throw them and I go for an arm bar. The ref will be like, "Oh, mate. You can't do arm bars." And we'll look at him like, this is brown and black belt division. I can arm bar the guy. And then the ref will look, "Can they do arm bars?" Be like, "Yeah." "Oh, okay. Restart then." Like, no, this isn't fair. I threw him and I had an arm bar.
Competitions, they don't give a shit.
Yeah, they don't. So you can imagine when you have people, one wearing blue, one wearing white. Now with two people wearing white gis and just a little red sash. Imagine that.
Okay, so back to the head dives and uniforms.
All right, back to the uniform. Back to the head dives.
They didn't call the head dives again. They called the really obvious head dives where you land on the top of your head, like right here, like bonk. And also there are a few where they do a full on ukemi, like flip. Mm-hmm. Those they called, but the Shohei Ono style side of the head landing first, like right here, they didn't call any of that at all. Another thing I found out that was interesting was the new judo-gi rules state that the skirt has to cover the butt.
Yeah.
Clearly they did not. None of the people here had their skirt covered the butt on this one. And you can see if you watch the Antalya Grand Prix, there's still a lot of people wearing the IJF backpatch ones where it's like last minute, like swap to a gi check thing. Their skirts are longer at that tournament than the ones here by a lot. So, yeah, that is interesting. Plus, the breaking the gi grips and then disengaging, that should be Shido. A lot of that was not called too. So I don't know what the rules are to this tournament. Like, this is why I'm so confused when I watch Japanese tournaments, because every single tournament feels like they have their own rules.
Exactly. Yes.
I know some of them, like for a while, still allowed leg grabs for a bit, and then they stopped, and then they still had Yuko calls at some of them. Like they're still called Yukos. Another thing I was talking, like, remember the webtoon we talked about briefly, like Gentle Way, the comic book. So this morning I was helping the artist come up with she had some questions about the rules, Japanese high schools. And I was watching tournaments going through the rules in Japanese, and like some of them are 5v5 in the high school tournament. Some of them are 3v3. But the women are 3v3, and there's always two girls on the bench. But then the men's are always 5v5. So it's just all these different rules I'm just like super confused about. And I would one day like to sit down with maybe Sensei Mas would know. I should ask Sensei Mas, right? We should bring him on and ask. Maybe we just want to sit him down and just ask him, how do these things work? Like,
you might be like, I don't know. They change every year.
But yeah, another thing between All Japan and Antalya Grand Prix is there's a lot of arm locks. I saw so many arm locks. Arm locks happen in judo, but usually people go for pins and chokes before arm locks. So I've never seen this many arm locks in a weekend. I've also never seen this many broken arms in a weekend.
Really? How many did you see?
I saw at least 10 broken arms.
10 broken arms?
Yeah.
10 dislocated elbows.
Yeah, most of it was actually from what was that? The Udegarami, like Kimura Americana, Ashigarami, like the Huizinga roll.
Yeah, you're talking about the Huisisen roll.
Well, I don't have to talk about it, but it just basically happened. Like a lot of those kind of like rolling arm locks and basically kind of similar to Kimura, but in different, using the legs versus arm. There was a guy in All Japan that tried to stop a Seoinage, posted his hand out.
Oh no!
Arm just completely went the other way, and I've just never seen this many broken arms in a weekend. So, yeah,
gentle way, right?
Yeah, I don't know what it is with the Newaza. A lot of people seem to be sticking their arms out a lot more and not defending. So, yeah, it was just this weekend. The previous tournament, there was not that many, but yeah, it's interesting to see a lot of Newaza. But
that's cool.
Yep.
It was good to see some Newaza. It's bad that people broke their arms and weren't tapping when they should be or rolling when they should be.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing when you do the Wissensen roll is that it is a great sweep, but if it's one of those things where you either roll with them and let them put you in the pin or you get your arm broken. And it's one of those decisions that usually most people roll with it. They'll be like, oh, I don't want to lose my arm, so I'm going to roll with it. But I guess if you're at a major tournament, you really want to fight not to get pinned, you'll give up your arm and lose judo for 6 months.
I'm glad to see it happen again because this throw was popular like 20 years ago, 25, whatever, like a long time ago. And we didn't see it for a long time in high level. And for a while, people were spreading this myth about how it's illegal now. Like, they clarified the rules, it's illegal. Yeah, because they haven't seen it. And now we see it and they didn't call it. So it's like, it's clearly still legal. And because there's a lot of people, I was just talking about it on Reddit. There's a lot of people that don't understand why Udegarami, like Kimura and Americanas are legal in judo when the rules state that only elbow locks are allowed. Shoulder locks aren't allowed. But there's the way that's not as clear cut as they say it is. If you read the actual rules, it's actually a kind of a gray area about what is considered an elbow, applying pressure to the elbow, but the lock doesn't actually have to happen to the elbow. It can happen to the shoulder. Yeah. So there's a little gray area there. So people just don't really understand the rule, I guess. And then some people kind of just interpreted it as, okay, shoulder locks aren't legal unless it's with the arms, but if you didn't do it with your legs, then it's illegal. It's like, no, that's not true either. It's like you just have to read the rule for what it is.
Who would say that? How would you come up with that idea?
Because they're just looking at how they're enforcing it. A lot of people see, and it's kind of the IJS fault too, right? Because we were saying how they leave a lot of gray areas open for the refs to interpret. Yeah, like the head diving. So people, instead of reading the rules, they just look at how the refs enforce the rules, and they come up with their own interpretations from that. And
it was like it's like a few, was it 2 Olympics ago when the Israeli girl won I think she won the gold, or I can't remember what term she won, but she won with just a really cool gi choke. Yeah. And all the old men were like, oh, that's illegal. You can't do that. You can't do a gi choke. So everyone for a little while thought
Yard and Gerby you're talking about.
Yeah. A lot of people thought that gi choke, I got like BJJ coming at people asking me like, hey, Juan, are gi chokes illegal in judo? I was like, no, they're not illegal. It's just a stupid weird thing where you can't wrap the thing all the way around the neck, which is impossible.
Well, they actually clarify it now. You can't choke someone with your own gi anymore.
Yeah. So they did that. But the whole thing was like, you can't, because what was the stupid thing? It was like, if you wrap your own gi around their neck, you can pop their head off. Like, oh yeah, from that, it's like, oh, just a head rolling on the mat. Oh yeah, that's so going to happen. They'll tap before that or pass out before their head will pop off the mat. Yeah. Because the whole rule was that you can't cross your own gi to choke them out, you know? So people thought that, oh, I can't use a gi, meaning I can't use so if we're doing something, I can't use your gi to choke you out. Like, no, that's still legal. I just can't wrap my gi around your throat. Side note, do you ever see those YouTube videos of like illegal BJ things that a guy like took his belt off and tried like noosing around a guy's throat? I've seen it before. I think it's hilarious. That's blatantly, I think, illegal in all martial arts.
Yeah, but
my topic there.
you kind of have to blame the refs on the way that you can't blame people. It's like, well, the refs didn't enforce it, but that doesn't mean it's legal if they didn't enforce it, right? Like Daria Below did. She grabbed someone's hair and just also to Gotti. It's like, oh, we can grab hairs now. Like, no, that's not true, right? The refs just
that's a ponytail and just down.
So yeah, I really wish the IJF would clarify the rules on shoulder locks, like arm entanglements, leg entanglements. So they need to clarify that, and they do a good job clarifying what's legal or not legal to the knee, right? Like you can't put pressure on that, but they won't clarify the arm. Like it's just really weird.
I think it's because a good shoulder lock that only attacks the elbow is, I'll admit, kind of hard to do. And it's much easier to do a shoulder lock that Kimura Udikatame that attacks the shoulder is much easier to do. And it's going to be harder for the ref to just look and be like, okay, is that attacking the shoulder? Is that attacking the arm? And I personally think it shouldn't matter. It's just because one woman got hurt and she lost a bunch of she lost judo for like, I don't know, was it 6-9 months, whatever she lost doing judo for. And she's a high ranked player. So it's like, oh, Kimuras are becoming too dangerous because it's doing it to the shoulder. It's supposed to be to the elbow. It's like, what's the difference? What's the difference? I dislocate my elbow and I dislocate my shoulder. It's still 6 to 9 months. What's the difference? Seriously.
Shoulders are a lot more complicated than the elbow joint. Just so we know, like
put it back in the socket. You're good. Put the tape on it.
You can come back pretty well from a broken elbow, but your shoulder will never be the same after you hurt it seriously. But anyway, I will say that whenever we saw a lot of those ashi sankaku garami, which is like the leg lace, basically kimura with the legs, right? The ones that I did see a few that it was clearly the broken shoulder, and people would cry, but then they wouldn't grab the shoulder in pain. They would just like rolling around the back. But there were a few instances where I did see people grab the elbow. So I guess you could apply it to a point where it actually breaks the elbow and not the shoulder. So I will point that out. I'll
show you next class.
No, you showed it to me before, so I know. But
actually, I did. You're asking me about it. I did show you the difference.
Yeah, I was asking about it, and then I was like, "This is so unlikely to happen." But now I saw a couple of times it happened here. So, yeah. What else is there? Yeah, we went through a lot. I thought I had a few more things to say, but yeah.
Yeah, shoulder lace breaking, people dislocating stuff, head dives. No one grabbed any legs.
No one grabbed any legs. It was interesting. Right. Oh, I one thing I was going to say, like Hashimoto for ex-world champion, he was in All Japan's tournament. He won first place. He's well known for one of the few people that can reliably pull off the one-hand sode Suriko Migoshi, one-handed. But every time he does it, it's very dangerous. It's very close to throwing arm lock throw, basically. He did actually get disqualified a couple of times for it. Like the last time it happened was when he fought on ball. Or was it on Chang Rim? One of the ons, okay? He fought one of the ons and he basically did an arm lock throw on him. Luckily, nothing was broken, but he got disqualified for that. One of the final matches I saw him fight in All Japan, he almost did an arm lock throw again. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I want to reiterate, going back to the reverse Seoinagi ban, how reverse Seoinagi can be done properly, but if it locks the shoulder or elbow, you should just same thing as the one-handed soda. You don't see people banning one-handed soda. It's just, if you do it wrong, then it's disqualification. And the reason I think they're not doing that is because only a couple of people can pull it off and actually try it. Yeah. So that was the last thing I had. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that was This Week in Judo. Just talk about the news and stuff. And again, like always, give us your feedback. What you guys thought about the tournaments? What you guys think about some of the things we're talking about today? So as you can see behind me, you see this is episode 50. And this is now our 2-year, and that's going to be going back and forth, our 2-year anniversary. That means me and Anthony have been doing this podcast now for 2 years. We started this podcast like the week after our dojo closed because of the pandemic. We started it. There's some lost footage of us actually doing the podcast on the floor at the tatami at our dojo that he has somewhere, or he lost. I don't know what happened.
Might have lost it. Yeah, I'll check. It's probably on my laptop somewhere.
But this is our 2-year anniversary. I wish I had like some poppers or something. I had let me see. Got any like some music or got any fancy thing in here? Maybe I can find something. Oh yeah, here's something fun. Let's see. Can you hear that?
Do it on yourself.
Anniversary.
That's not popper. That's like an air horn. Is that what it called?
Yeah. Well, it was part of my things that I have on there. Let me see. Do I have some fireworks on here too? I thought I had fireworks maybe. Do you have any fireworks on your phone?
No.
On your stuff? No fireworks. Oh God, terrible. All right. So it's our 2 anniversary of doing this Tatami Talk. We appreciate everybody listening to us. We appreciate all the new fans, people that have been with us since the beginning. When we started this, it was just about 2 guys just going to get together and just talk about judo. And our first year, we were very lucky to get a lot of cool guests to come on the show.
Yeah, I was surprised, we got some people that I've never thought I would talk to. So,
yeah. And because we had so many really cool guests on the show, people thought that we were just going to do an interview show when our original thing was just to be this. We're going to just talk about tournaments, talk about local things, just discuss judo. And Anthony's big thing was, do you want to talk judo as a casual judo player? I was more about doing things the way you kind of, the way we do stuff is like international stuff, talk about a little bit of that, but not just focus on high level judo players, because not everyone can be a high level judo player. Not everyone can go to every Grand Slam, Grand Prix, or be a national champion. And I get that. So I think that we've had a good time. How about you, Anthony? What's your reflection on the 2 years of doing Tatami Talk?
Yeah, I'm like really happy with how it turned out. We're not doing exactly the best compared to like some of the bigger YouTube channels. But we're doing pretty good. I'm better than I expected. So I'm glad that there's people out there listening. And we have people listening from all over the world. It's not just in the US, even though a lot of our perspectives is like from the US perspective, just because that's where we train. But I'm thankful for all the guests that we had over the years and people who shared our podcasts, like saying, hey, you guys should listen to this. Like, this interview was cool. They have an interesting take on it. I want to thank all the people that provided feedback or sent in questions, even though it wasn't that much. I kind of wish we had more comments and interactions, but I think the nature of our content is just that not many of that is available, versus if we did like short videos or if we did like really controversial takes on certain things.
Hot takes.
So it's funny because the first year of our podcast, I was looking at our YouTube likes and dislikes. We only had 1 dislike in our first year. So it's 25 episodes.
Yes.
Right? We only had 1 dislike, and it was from someone we know for some other reason that I won't mention, but it's basically not against us. It was against the guests we had. And the second year I was looking back the other day and I was like, oh, we got a lot more dislikes now. And I'm like, that's when you know you made it, is when you
get some dislikes. Yes, that's controversial. People are listening enough not to like us.
It's not even stuff that's controversial that got the dislikes. I think it's either bots or just people who don't like us or people who trained with us and like thought we're assholes or I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. So it's like, it's one of those episodes where we're not saying like, I think leg wrap should be banned or I think leg wrap should be this. It's not, no, like they probably just said, fuck these guys, like,
yeah. I don't like Juan's face,
but that's when you know that you've reached beyond your target original demographic and you've grown to a large audience is when you start getting more criticisms and disagreements. And I wish people would leave those disagreements in the comments kind of and tell us why they don't like what we're saying or something, which is healthy discussions to have, right? And it helps us improve our podcast and also it creates content, right? But yeah, that's something I noticed. Like when I looked back at the YouTube videos was like, oh, we got dislikes and I'm actually happy about it. So
the weird thing I hate the most is when someone will leave a comment and then they'll delete it right after. Like, God damn, what'd they write? Because I'm like, what'd they write down? I can't read it.
I think a lot of them
go back, figure it out.
I think a lot of them gets caught in the spam filter. That's what happens. So,
okay.
But we can still read it technically because we get emails every time the comments left. So in the emails, I read it and then you can't see it in the comment section afterwards. But yeah, there's that. I'm glad we did something on Twitch because that was on our to-do list and we never actually streamed anything. I know we talked about doing like Randori footage or something, but
or a watch along or something we're going to try to do. But yeah, it's crazy. Like all the tournaments happen in Europe and Asia. So if we do a watch along, I'll be at Anthony's house at like 3 a.m. watching judo with him.
But we didn't expect the beginners class to take off that much in our dojo. So between that and my work ramping up, we didn't have enough time to do these like other things that we wanted to do. So I'm glad that we streamed the 3 clubs tournament hosted by our dojo on Twitch, and that kind of crossed the bucket list item off of the second year anniversary. And we also did the short videos. They're not doing as great as I thought it would be, but I think if we just need to advertise it more somehow. It's like, I think the best short videos we did was the forbidden techniques. Those were so maybe that type of like more technique demonstration stuff, which is kind of hard to do because there's already so much stuff out there, right? So
yeah, the one reason we don't do a whole lot of technique videos because there's so many technique videos out there. And we were going to try to do some no-gi stuff because I like doing no-gi. Anthony wants to learn more no-gi. So that might be coming up later, us doing some no-gi videos. But if you want a technique video, there's so many out there already. And I know one of the reasons why people liked our illegal techniques is because we did explain like kind of how to do those. So we're kind of cheating. Like, this is how you do it, but you can't do it. You can't do it at a tournament. You shouldn't do this in class. So I bet you people taking it and going to do it to their grappling class, to their BJJ class. I learned in a judo video because most people don't know how to do like what I always go back to. The mean technique is a dojime, very simple technique, but a lot of people don't think about it. Like, what do you mean? Pull a person in guard and squeeze? No, you'd be surprised. You squeeze those floating ribs, you'd be surprised how much people squirm. All right.
Yeah. So we don't try and show, like, for example, North to Senagi, you go YouTube it, there's like tons of people doing it. And then you might go look up someone who's famous for doing it and learn from them. And those might not work for you. So when we do the demonstrations, it's usually for stuff that's not very done popularly out there or stuff that we're really good at. And I also try to personally provide some historical context to stuff based off of my own research from books and stuff I've read online. That's well sourced. As far as I know. So like, for example, one of the forbidden techniques like dakiage, we mentioned, like, it used to be when you lift someone above the waist, then it's ippon, like it makes sense. And then how
it's like a slam you down. Yeah.
And that evolved into how current rules are. As soon as you lift someone off the ground, it's mate. And that's, you kind of see like the historical parts of that technique. So those kind of stuff, I think we should do more, but there's not much, we can't just like, this is how you do uchimata, because there's so many people out there that teach uchimata way better than we can, I think. So short videos. I think we mentioned before, like no-gi, you said, and I want to do some ukemi videos because I feel like there's a lot of gap in terms of teaching ukemi out there. A lot of the stuff is just like, oh, you just roll like this. And from my experience, if you're athletic, you see someone doing ukemi twice, you can copy it if you're naturally talented. But then there's a lot of out of shape, not such well coordinated people that need a lot more hand holding. And there's different variations that you can adjust to the level of comfortableness that people are at. And there's just a lot more stuff about ukemi that we mentioned in the beginners episode that we did that I think would be better elaborated and explained in a short video format. So that may be coming down the pipe. Overall happy with our 2 years numbers. We're still getting a lot more audio listeners, understandably, because we have long episodes. So it's easier to listen in the car than watching the whole video on YouTube. But our YouTube views
watch it at work. Still just turn it on your laptop at work to put us in the corner and stuff. You turn audio off if you want. I don't care. Just please put the video on, please.
Yeah. So our videos are still doing good. It's just they take longer to ramp up. And some of the episodes I don't put on Reddit just because I thought it's not as relevant to judo as I thought it would be. So the episodes that I don't put up on Reddit actually get less views, but not by much. So I'm testing around stuff like that in terms of seeing how the channel could grow. But if you have any suggestions, let us know. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, I learned a lot about like editing and audio engineering through this whole process. So I have a lot more respect for people who do that kind of stuff now. And if you listen to the audio quality in our first episode compared to like now, it's like night and day, right? And we're using the same basically the same equipment. So
for the most part, some new stuff.
Yeah.
I got like, if you look at the camera work, like when I first started doing this podcast, I really didn't care. Like I should care because like, I love film production, all stuff. I know how to edit. And that's one thing that got me back into this was when we're doing the short videos, I tend to edit the short videos. So it goes back to when I was in school. And I like simple stuff. I don't like big fancy graphics popping up everywhere else. I like simple editing things, fades, a wipe if I have to use a wipe. I hate using wipes. You want to know why I hate using wipes? You want to know why? Star Wars. Some of the ugliest. Oh, say that. Give me some heat. I'll get some heat right now. Some of the ugliest wipes in the film industry are in Star Wars. But yeah, just getting back to editing stuff, and I like simple editing things. So I like stuff being clean and crisp and as best as possible that what we have, because we film most of our stuff just simple. Like we use a GoPro to film our videos. When I first started this, you had a nicer camera than I did because I just used my laptop camera.
I don't have the webcam, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I just used my laptop webcam at first. And then I bought a camera that was supposed to be good, but it just didn't look, it was like, it said it shot in HD and all this stuff, but it wasn't a great camera. Then I got now the third cameras, which I use now. I went back from using just the black thing behind me to now I finally got this green screen thing put up right here to make it look nicer, because my house is a mess. You don't want to see my office. My office is terrible. Seriously. It is just like geese and
blame it on your wife.
all this stuff behind me and just you don't want to see my house. It's a mess. So I had to get a green screen to cover this stuff up. I went from being the black void to now I'm at the dojo with the anniversary sign behind me.
So I've been thinking ever since we had the last Twitch stream, the quality was pretty good. I got a lot of positive feedback from people. A lot of people were like, hey, you should do this at this tournament. I'm like, I'm doing it just for the dojo. Like if you're interested in how I did it out for a budget, like I did it basically with parts lying around. I didn't buy anything. Yeah. So, I did buy the cable that we extended, but that's about it. So, I was like, I'm just doing it on budget, but basically I wanted to buy a camera because I noticed the video quality was kind of blurry. So unless you know the people, you can't really see their face, but you kind of know who they are and you can see the judo techniques well enough. But I wanted to up the camera quality, and I've personally been looking for a camera myself, but the last camera I owned was when I was like 10. And it was like a Olympus film camera. Like it's still using film, right? Yeah. So I was like, I want to treat myself to a camera. And I was looking online and everything was sold out because of the chip shortage. Yeah. So I guess that's something in the far future, probably a year from now, I might be able to get a camera to increase the. But speaking about the Twitch stuff, that's something we plan on doing still in the future. Like every time we have a tournament at our dojo, me and Anthony's plan is to stream it on our Twitch channel. So it's a little bit cheat right there. We're using our dojo and stuff and other dojos, but we plan to stream it on our Twitch channel. And the next one, if you're interested in watching it again, to save the date, is right now tentatively it is going to be on May 5th. Is that the day that they finally came up with? Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be on May 5th is the next one we're going to have. And it'll be the same way. Just go to our Twitch channel and please be nice in the comment area. Okay. Anthony got very upset. He got hurt by something people said to him and stuff. What are you talking about?
I'm joking.
No, it's just some bots spamming stuff. Like, hey, you want free news? So yeah.
Someone was spamming us of like, why does Sensei want on the mat? And I'm like, because I'm running the back area. That's why.
Yeah. So another thing I was thinking about getting is if we're going to do more short videos, like I want to get either a shotgun mic or those Rode wireless where you clip on the mic wirelessly and records the higher audio quality. So that might be something that's more realistic that we can do in the future. But yeah, I'm happy with the growth of the channel. I don't want to be like, there are some really channels I've seen exploded in the recent years for judo, and they're either already like high caliber, like 6-dan Olympic judo, whatever caliber people, or people that take other people's content and then make really controversial views about it just for argument's sake, for entertainment. I don't want to do that. And then there's also people who just straight up spout false information about certain things. Like I'm trying to think of an example without calling someone out.
Well, if you're talking about pet peeves, this is a little pet peeve of mine when people do that kind of stuff, is that we're judo players. We are judo players, number one. I'm a judo player, wrestler, catch wrestler. I do open grappling and stuff like that, but I'm a judo player pretty much number one. That's my main thing now. And one thing that gets me mad is when I'll see, and I'm not hating on BJJ. I love you guys. Okay. Don't think I hate on you guys, but I hate when someone that doesn't do judo or know what judo actually is trying to talk about judo. I would never say something about BJJ that I don't know.
Exactly.
You know?
Like even within judo, I don't try not to say something that I don't know about, or if I form an opinion, I just say it's my opinion based off of my limited knowledge of it. But I'm not going to say like this technique 100% doesn't work because I never seen it work before. That doesn't mean anything, you know? So
it doesn't work for me. So it doesn't work at all, you know, but
yeah, some of the channels,
like there was some versus channels. There's some versus videos that got sent to us and stuff. Yeah. What do you think about this? I'm like, well, the guy that got to do judo doesn't know judo. I don't know if he's a real black, what color belt that they're wearing, if that was real or not, or if it's a fake belt, or they're just not a competition person or what. But there's been some videos that get sent to me about, what about this judo guy? What about this judo thing? Like, that's not a judo player. He's not from a competition school.
Yeah. So the ones that get a lot of views are usually like randori style stuff, or which is fine. But then there's some people that don't like allow being recorded in the dojo, which is like an issue sometimes. And then there's also people are like, top 5 reasons why judo wouldn't work on blah, 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 or top 3 best judo throws for blah, blah, blah. Like, it's like the top 3 judo throws are the ones that you can do and you're good at, not like, so I don't want to do that kind of stuff. I also don't want to do like, is judo watered down? Like, obviously this will give away what video channel I'm talking about, but is judo watered down? Watch me fight this judo guy. And then like, those things are just, on one hand, it kind of feeds into the people that already think judo is inferior to whatever reason. So they'll like, I agree, blah, blah, blah. Because people like this, read information and content that confirms their pre-existing beliefs. Mm-hmm. And on the other hand, when it's controversial, people will feel upset and then comment on it, which creates more discourse, which generates more views. And you get what I'm saying. So I don't want to make
that's another thing. That's something for our fans to know also out there. We've been doing this 2 years. We appreciate all you. We like all you guys. All the emails we get about like, can you check this out? Can you check that out? Give us your opinion on that. We appreciate all that stuff. But remember, me and Anthony, we don't do this for views. Like, we like views. We love being people out there, but we're not doing this for the money. That's the thing. We don't put commercials on our stuff. We don't put ads on our stuff. Maybe later, if we got like 10,000 viewers or something, or we like followers, something a high number, but we do this for free. We do this out of our own time that we love doing judo. We love talking about judo. We don't make no money off this. This is not a side income for us. It would be great if it does become that one day, but we're not out here trying to make money. And this is all for free. I
feel like that's the reason why we're still around versus when the pandemic started. I think a lot of people did it to see what kind of money they can make out of it, because podcast is like the new hip thing, and they realize, oh, I make more money teaching privates or something. So they just like kind of stopped doing the podcast. And I think that's the differences between us. And so I try to live by the judo principle of mutual benefit. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to like cause negativity and controversy even within the judo community, or judo versus like other martial arts, because I like all martial arts. Yeah. Even you, Aikido. Aikido, I like you.
Aikido. You like Aikido. I got love for Aikido. I got love for you guys. All right. I think Steven Seagal is amazing. Oh no, got that heat again. I got that heat. I can feel it. I guess some Aikido guys gonna come to the dojo now. You're gonna try to fight me. Yeah, but we just have to get into our hearts. We love all this stuff. Please. I always say it's always like, share, subscribe, spread the word. We're trying to promote judo. We're trying to promote grappling in a fun, happy way. All right. That's why we try to do this. Is there anything else you want to talk about the 2-year anniversary?
No, I think,
what's your goal? Well, what's your goal for this next year? I know. Okay. Here's one of my goals. Okay. Mm-hmm. I want to try to get, because our first year we had tons of interviews our first year. Our second year was more about topics. I want to try to get a few more interviews this year. And there's a few people out there that I want to talk to. There are a few people I want to go talk to out there. And if I ask you, please say yes. Right. Or if you think that you have an interesting topic that you want to get out there and talk to people, we're open. Send us a message. Like we had the thing with with the LA Police Department here with their new judo system and their self-defense system with the police. So, hey, you want to promote judo? Let us know. We'll probably have you on the show.
Yeah, I have been thinking about this in the back of my mind for a while now, but I've been wanting to interview more people that are less well known, but they do a lot for the judo community. Like one example would be my old sensei from Austin, Texas, Glenn. Glenn and Darius, they started their whole judo program from scratch, and they built up the whole judo community in the Austin area. Basically, there's like, I'm going to probably cause, well, those people probably wouldn't listen anyway, but there is judo in the area, but they're actually either judo for BJJ. So it's like a very casual judo class for BJJ, or they're kind of McDojos, like not real judo, you know? So they don't do randori kind of thing. So Glenn was like, he built up, I just watched it grow, his program grow from scratch, and he put a lot of his own time and money into it. And a lot of what I do now for my dojo, for our dojo, is actually, and for podcast, is actually inspired by Glenn's dedication to the program. And I really looked up to him that way. So I want to bring in people like that and ask him, how did you grow a successful judo program and all that kind of stuff? Because all the
heat. I can feel the heat.
All the stuff that you see that gets posted officially by certain groups, let's just say, about how to grow this stuff, it's like not realistic. Let's just say that. I'll leave it at that. I won't try it. Like I said, mutual benefit. So I'm not going to go beyond that. It's not realistic. And let's just say they got really lucky, I think, in a certain sense. Which luck is a huge part of growing successful business or clubs. But yeah, I want to look into more of, interview more of these smaller dojos and how people run them. Cause we do need more judo dojos in America. And we need, I think hearing more of these stories might inspire people to see that it's not, it doesn't necessarily always have to be, I lose all my time with my family to do this, or I have to like make a business or a living out of it. It doesn't have to be that way, I think, especially when you're not trying to be super competitive, and just casual place is totally fine too, you know? So.
All right. Yeah. So that's the goal. That's the goal for next year.
Yeah. And also improve our audio quality for our short videos. Cause I do really want to grow the short videos. I want more. I do want more views on that.
I don't think the audio quality is that bad. I don't think it's that bad.
It's not bad, but it can be better. So yeah,
I can imagine us wearing a lavalier and trying to throw each other. You got wrestling.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, it's that, and grow the short videos, because I think that's where we would see most growth and more content being made. And maybe revisit some of the topics that we've talked about in the last few years, because I think both as podcasters and judokas, we've grown a lot and changed a lot in the past 2 years, and even just the rules itself has changed. So
yes. Well, that's a common episode of however long we do this. That's an every 4 years episode we're going to have, because after every Olympics, we'll talk about the Olympics, like all this great stuff happening. Oh, Olympics is finished now. Now we're going to change the rules again. All right.
Yeah. So maybe we can revisit stuff like teaching beginners. Like we had 2 years ago, we had one view of, about how to teach beginners. And maybe now we're like, hey, like I realized throughout the past 2 years that this works better now. Like, it's constantly improving, so we can revisit topics. Speaking of which, that's the most views we've had.
What, teaching beginners?
The beginner pedagogy class episode. That one has the most views. So I'm really happy with that episode, because I think I put a lot of thought into it with the discussions. But yeah, so that's all I have. I think I'm getting kind of long-winded here. So.
All right. So please like, share, and subscribe. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate all of you listening to us, whether you download us, listen to us on YouTube, listen on a podcast, one of the feeds. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have any questions, you can send to us at tatamitalk@gmail.com. Anthony usually reads all of those. If you want to follow us, you can follow us on YouTube or on Instagram at Tatami Talk. You want to follow me on Instagram, you follow me at @Jerry_Juan. You follow Anthony at Anthony Throws on Instagram. And again, you send us anything you want to talk about, look at it, look something up, watch you or something.
You can tell us you hate our guts. You can say that too. Like, that's fine.
You can tell me how much you don't like Anthony, how much you just don't like his face, his judo's terrible and stuff, and how I'm amazing and I'm fantastic and stuff. And you wish to actually, I do get some weird comments sometimes about how I'm a judo player, but I also do acting. I always play cops all the time and stuff. It's like, hey, do you ever use your judo on set? No. I want to sometimes, but I've never used actually, I've used it one time. I tell the story all the time, but if you ever watch Angels and Demons, there's a scene where the helicopter explodes and comes down and stuff. I accidentally do a forward kemi because I trip for myself when I'm running away from it. Like, oh no, it's falling. And I do a forward kemi and the stunt coordinator's like, hey, you do judo? I was like, yes, I do, sir. Great role. Now will you hire me, please? No? Okay. Yeah, but same way, always like, share, and subscribe. Those are all the ways to follow us and stuff. So Anthony, how you want to end this? You want me to say it or you want to say it together?
We go through this. Let's just stick with you saying it so we don't have this awkward, repetitive, like, oh, should I say it?
I enjoy this part though. This is my favorite part.
Just say it. Just say it.
I enjoy the banter. All right.
Just say it.
Don't forget to
slap the mat.
God, this guy was late this time also. God damn.